Bonjour tout le monde, j'espère que vous allez bien. I hope that you are doing well. So, in this lesson, we are going to study months of the year. So, I have divided this lesson into three parts. In the first part, we'll be learning the names of months in French, followed by the rules, its usage, because while writing, we need to keep into consideration certain rules of grammar, and finally we will apply the rules by making the sentences. So stay tuned. The very important stuff is coming soon. So let us start. So we'll be starting with the first month of the year, that is January. So January in French is janvier. Janvier. Next we have février. Février. Mars. Mars. So here don't get confused, it's similar to the pronunciation of the planet Mars. Avril. Avril. May. May. Juin. Juin. Juillet. Juillet. So be very careful here. I have seen people often making a pronunciation mistake while pronouncing July in French. So it is completely different from its spelling, although if you follow the pronunciation rules of French, it's correct. So it is juillet. Juillet. Next one we have is August. So August in French is août. Août. Always remember that the accent circumflex, like if you don't know about accent until now, don't worry, but still just keep in mind that a hat on an alphabet, it means it's an accent circumflex, and while pronunciation we need to take it longer, so it becomes août. Août. So here the pronunciation of O is stressed. Next we have Septembre. Septembre. Octobre. Octobre. Novembre. Novembre. Finally we have Décembre. Décembre. One more important thing related to the spelling of Décembre, we have an accent aigu over E after D. So while writing, you need to stress on it, you need to use an accent, and while speaking also its voice changes. In the forthcoming lessons, I'll be explaining the how the sound changes when an accent on an alphabet is there. So for the time being, let us take Décembre. Décembre. And always remember that we have already done that the accent like a hat is known as circumflex, and the accent moving from left to right, it is known as aigu. We do have from right to left, and we call it as accent grave. We'll do it in a next lesson, don't worry. So now we move to the part 2. So here part 2 will be focusing on certain grammatical rules while using the names of these months. So before starting with the part 2, I want you to have a quick revision. So we'll be using only French here. So let us start from the first month of the year, and also the months of the year in French is les mois de l'année. Les mois de l'année. Okay, on commence. On commence means we start. On commence. So it is an informal phrase. a phrase saying that we are gonna start. On commence. So we have janvier, janvier, février, février, mars, mars, avril, avril, mai, mai, juin, juin, juillet, juillet, août, août, septembre, septembre, octobre, octobre, novembre, novembre, and finally décembre, décembre. Okay, now I have for you the rules of grammar which we should take into consideration while using these names of the month of the year. So the rule number 1 is totally different to English. So in English, whereas we prefer to use a capital letter, like if we want to write January, we use capital J, but it is not the case in French. So in French, we don't use the capital letter, instead we use the lowercase. So while using the lowercase, so when you are writing, but there, let us also take the exception case. So what is an exception case? So exception case is where this rule doesn't apply. So whenever we are gonna start a sentence, and suppose the sentence start with the name of the month, suppose janvier, so there, as it is a starting of the sentence, we'll use the capital J, whereas in all other situations, whenever it comes between, at the end, or as a part of a complex or compound or a complex compound sentence, what we do is we use the lowercase. So this is the difference, and also we'll be applying here. So let us first of all take the rule number 2, which is again very important. So it is not a rule, it is the way of using it. So whenever we want to say in January, so we already know January in French is janvier. So in French, if you know, or let me guide you, we have like 2 main prepositions. So these are en and dans. So in this case, whenever we want to say in January, in February, in March, and so on, we use the preposition en. So we say en janvier, en janvier, en février, en mars, en mars, en avril, en avril, en mai, en mai, en juin, en juin, en juillet, en juillet, en août, en août, en septembre, en septembre, en octobre, en octobre, en novembre, en novembre, and finally en décembre, en décembre. Now we have part 3 where we'll be forming sentences using these names of the month in French. Obviously, if you're learning something, you are more interested in making sentences, whether it is for, let us say, an exam or for a day-to-day conversation. So here we have part 3 in front of us, where we'll be applying our knowledge of French as well as the recently learned days of the month. So first we have it often snows in January. So one thing I know at this stage, January is janvier, and in January I have just learned it should be en janvier. It is en janvier. So let us say, so it often, so it in French we use what we use for he and she, that is il. So il, and snows or it snows, we say neige, and often is souvent. So our full sentence becomes il neige souvent en janvier. Il neige souvent en janvier. So we have learned many things here at the initial, at the beginner level, but believe me, you need this knowledge. This will help you when we will come to the lesson of, let us say, pronouns. So now you have a first-hand knowledge of that. Let us take another sentence. My birthday is in January. Okay, again we already know in January is en janvier. But in French, if I want to talk about my birthday, so birthday in French is anniversaire. Anniversaire. And we use mon anniversaire. Mon anniversaire is in January. So our full sentence becomes mon anniversaire est en janvier. Mon anniversaire, both ways it's correct. Mon anniversaire est en janvier. Let us move to the third sentence. The store opens in February, or let us say January. So again we already know in January is en janvier. So store in French, or a shop in French, so it is le magasin. Le magasin. So opens is ouvre. Le magasin ouvre en janvier. Le magasin ouvre en janvier. Next, we are going on vacation in January. So in January, again en janvier, we are going. So here we'll be using the formal situation. So in the formal situation we have nous. So nous partons. So vacation in French is vacances. Nous partons en vacances en janvier. Nous partons en vacances en janvier. It means we go for vacation in January. Next we have the cold starts in January. So we can also say winter season, but for our convenience here we are taking the cold. So in French, cold is le froid. Le froid. So, and starts. For starts, we use the verb commencer. So our full sentence becomes le froid commence en janvier. Le froid commence en janvier. So this was all related to the names of the months of the year, along with the rules and some of the very important sentences. So